got in trouble with math teachers because they said you don't study. And I said, give me any test you want, and if I pass it, pass me. If I don't, fail me. They never failed me. When he talks about IQ, by record, my IQ is 184.
Oh.
Now, the state of Ohio has what they call a special aptitude test. Halfway through it, I put my pencil down, and the instructor said, "Are you having trouble?" I said, "No, I'm done." He says, "Impossible. Out of 100 questions, the average is 21. I had a perfect score. Ohio State offered me a math scholarship because I proficiency advanced college mathematics when I was in high school. Another strange thing, because thinking that you're normal and everything else like that, that I got my draft notice. Well, I didn't want to go into the Army, so I went over to the Air Force. Unbeknownst to myself, I didn't know what my health condition was at that time. I didn't find out until I was going through the medical part in boot camp. They said, "You must have wanted in real bad because you have 3 waivers." At that time, I was legally blind. My vision was 400, 425. I was anemic. I'd lost a lot of blood when I was young. And I was 6'1", 132 pounds with a 27-inch waist. So I got to be what they call a rainbow because they had to alter all my uniforms. Well, the reason the Air Force took me is I have one of the highest math and electronics scores that they'd ever seen. They put me in nuclear weapons. I did guidance and control. I was in the Air Defense Command. I was in a fighter squadron in Dover, Delaware, and when the Cuban crisis started out, we were the first line of defense. I actually got to analyze some of the U-2 pictures from Russia and from the ships. Very dangerous time, I'd hate to tell you that. The fact that the things we were done, what I was basically working on, was top secret. The other people on the flight line had no idea what I did. Nobody on the mat base knew what I did. I was basically called a spook. And in fact, I got a call from a general one time. They wanted me to be down in Fort George Meade, Maryland, which is the NSA. I didn't go. Because of the way the Air Force treats people, especially in position of security and things like that, is when I walked into nuclear weapons school, they locked the door and says, "You will not be taken alive." And so for several months after that, they taught me how to assassinate and how to commit suicide. So my opinion of the military dropped real quick. And during one incident, I don't know exactly what happened, we put on alert. I actually had to sleep under the plane. At that time, there were like 2 circles of what we call perimeter guards. These were chefs or cooks or whatever the lower people in the Air Force were. They were all given a rifle with what they call banana clips, 2 rounds like that. And when the military police came out, I said, "What are they out there for?" And they say, "To make a noise so you can get the plane off the ground." They're all expendable. And so many things in the Air Force showed me that that's how the government thought of us, as expendables. I was taught how to fly a fighter jet. I was never taught to land. One of my jobs was, if we were under attack, get the plane off the ground and ditch it in the ocean. was expendable.
Hmm.
Well, they spent a lot training me, but I was expendable. And there were incidents that happened there, and they would replace a person within 2 days. So that's why I didn't like the military, things like that. Now going into my education, I went to Ohio State University, I went to UCLA, Cal State Northridge. I have a PhD in metaphysics. I've worked as an electrical engineer, robotic engineer, computer engineer, software engineer, and I don't know if I said robotics, but I did robotics. I worked, well, into the mystery type things, which a lot of you guys were interested in. I documented the second cryogenic computer. These are computers that run at absolute zero. Where the first one came from, they wouldn't tell me. It's never been done before. I documented the second one. Kind of things like, and we put liquid hydrogen through it. But I can tell you, what's the temperature in space? Absolute zero. So, where did the first one come from? Exactly like that. I got to work in Europe for 8 years, 3 different countries. The last 2 positions were with ESA, European Space Agency. I worked on the robot arm for the space plane. I did circuit design for them, and also, well, a little ahead of myself on that. My last job was with Volker in the European Space Agency, where I designed a machine that would design space robots. And we could design on it. When the parts would come back, we could actually plug them into the same system and test them. Because basically, when NASA did it, they had to have almost a gravity-free condition. There was things on pedestals with air floating down, because the arms themselves can't hold themselves up because of the weight. So that was my steps next. At Hughes Aircraft,
Very low.
a little tidbit from that. My fingerprints are on the moon. How they got there is I helped design the first robot that landed on the moon. We built 5 surveyors, and because it had never been done before, never anything launched to the moon, they said it won't work. So we all had our pictures taken with the soil sampler and other parts of the surveyor robot, and they just packed them up and sent them. Normal procedures, you clean them. Since it wasn't going to work, they didn't want to take the time and the expense. It worked. Most of us were over at Jet Propulsion Laboratories watching the moon pictures come in. And after it was over, there was an announcement for all the contractors to meet in a certain place. We were all let go. They had 5. They didn't need any more. Now, what I'd studied, of course, like I said, I have a PhD in metaphysics. My paper was done on white pitches. But my father was fantastic. He said, you never stop learning. Something interests you, find out whatever you can about it. So at UCLA Experimental College, I studied catastrophic events. These were polar shifts in the Earth, how they were documented and proven. First contact mentally with an alien is we had a Ouija class, and we talked to aliens. One of them was actually at war at that time and had to excuse himself, but how fast this information came through was unbelievable. Like that. I myself My mother was Presbyterian, my father was Episcopalian. I didn't find God in the Presbyterian religion. I found out that most people don't even know what their doctrine is. So I studied religion backwards. I did become Jewish even. And Unitarian, then Buddhist, things like that. Now in that, when I became Jewish, I had to study Hebrew. And then I realized in the Hebrew Bible, God is plural. Well, there were things in these books and things like that that they didn't fit somehow. There were things that I still had questioned. I questioned everything, unfortunately. But just in the last several years, I started reading, studying the Sumerian tablets. These are writing 6,000 to 8,000 years old. There are 7 tablets called the 7 tablets of Genesis that give the entire history of our planet and all the steps through it. Now this is 2,000 to 4,000 years before the Bible.
You know who the Sumerians were?
Anunnaki, which is the same word. If the Elohim means those from the sky came, Anunnaki means those from heaven that came to earth. Same translation, basically. And then you go into the records there, they created us. Now, the interesting point, these tablets, like I say, are 6,000 to 8,000 years old. The Anunnaki were giants. Even the Bible says there were giants. The Anunnaki, according to their tablets, came to Earth, they say, 445,000 years ago. They said about 200,000 is they came to process gold for their atmosphere. Something was wrong in their atmosphere and they needed gold for it. They got tired of mining themselves. Another 1,000 years almost. So they figured, what do we do? How can we get somebody to do this for us? They took the indigenous close to humans back there, Neanderthals or what, and altered their DNA according to the tablets. And the other thing that's interesting, and like I say, the Sumerian tablets started fitting things. The Sumerians, 6,000 to 8,000 years ago, had drawn pictures of our solar system with all the planets in it. Some of the planets weren't discovered until the 1920s. They always called us the 7th planet. We know we're the 3rd rock. Well, they look at it as coming in. So they do it from the back. You may have heard of what they call Planet X. Planet X, well, in the Sumerian tablets before they actually started coming to Earth, a renegade planet came into our solar system. The moon of this planet hit what became Earth, split it almost in half. And because of the weight change, it took a different orbit, and the debris became the asteroid belt. Again, this is the Sumerian tablets talking. If you know anything about things in space, everything wants to return to a globe, round. And recently, or somewhat a little while back, is the scientists have said, well, all of our landmass was on one side of the planet. Then, as it reformed, it migrated back around. So that was our continental drifts, or whatever they called it back then. The interesting point is that this planet that invaded our solar system, because of the gravity of the moon and Saturn and Jupiter and things like that, it took an orbit. So it goes out past Pluto and comes back. They say the orbit is 3,600 years. And that's their year. So they're ancient. In the Sumerian tablets, they name everybody that has worked here. They talk about space stations that are here. They needed 2 mountains for guidance type thing. They only had one. They helped build the pyramids. Something that's always bothered me when you start reading the chariots of the gods and things like that is, way back when, they worked with 20 tons all the way up to a 2,000 ton stone. How'd they do this? Why'd they do it? Well, they could. They had spaceships. They had things where they could pick them up, take it from one mountain. They didn't have to go down through the valley. They had the laser technology. Well, if they had space travel almost 500,000 years ago, their technology, to the point when they came to Earth, had to be unreal. Did they have levitation? We don't know. Whether they used the spacecraft to pick the rocks up, place them, things like that, don't know. But, like I say, things in it and the Bible and stuff like that all started fitting together for me. There's the other interesting thing is, I don't know, when the Iran and Iraq war, things like that, troops went in and took Sumerian tablets from the museum. That's the only thing they did. Because in those Sumerian tablets, I mean, there's records of their daily life, their religions, and their science. They knew astrology much better than anybody has ever known it. Basically, that was their calendar. They would look at the position of the planets on Earth, and they knew what the date was. Interesting part, because I also studied Mayan and several other, I've studied about 5 or 6 different astrology type things like that. One of the things that slipped out, and I take it with a grain of salt, is that December 21st is supposed to be the return of the Anunnaki. The Mayans say that the Mayan calendar was the progression of consciousness. That by 2012, we're all supposed to be able to possibly read minds. There will be no more lying, no more politics, none of that crap. I'm hoping for that. I don't know if I'm ready for the Anunnaki yet, but it's like that. My studies are still ongoing, both for the Mayans and the Sumerians. And one interesting thing, in photographs from cave art, are primitive people. All around the world, the same 22 characters are in all of them. So there was an original language on Earth. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I could go on for days, but is there any questions or whatever? Because I feel that back and forth.
When you said the Iran-Iraq war, did you mean the America and Iraq when they took the tablets?
Yeah.
That wasn't because Iran and Iraq they fought years ago.
Yeah, but we went in like in when we went into Baghdad and things like that.
Yeah.
Why they they went into the museums and took.
Okay. That was when America invaded Iraq. Okay.
And they told us they was looking for weapons of mass destruction.
Oh, they taught us a lot of things.
What they were looking for were the portals. There were portals.
Part of it, there's portals, and like I say, there's know that we're reverse engineering the space maps, P-47 and stuff like that.
Right.
But in the tablets were also all their physics and mathematics and things like that were in those tablets.
Right, but they wouldn't share it no way. Are you familiar with the Olmecs?
Yeah,
Okay, because when people refer to the Mayan calendar as being a Mayan calendar, my history goes back where it was the Olmecs calendar. It had
yeah, the
absolutely
Mayans
nothing to
say
do.
that though.
Huh?
The Mayans say that.
But here in America, they keep saying.
They're saying Mayan, but I went to the pyramids all throughout Mexico, and the Mayans never said that they created
that calendar.
Well,
those
that's
pyramids
even
that
the American Indians sit there and say, this was all given to us.
Yeah, they say
all
our
the different countries
ancestors
say
did
this was
this.
here when we got here.
Yeah.
That's why I'm asking if is he familiar with the Olmecs at all? They're the
Only
big.
thing I seem to remember is this huge round head.
Yes, a lot of them all over the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are the ones who came up with the that calendar, as opposed to being Mayans, because the Mayans were the ones.
Well, that's one of several thousand calendars in the Mayans. That was called the long count. There are Mayan calendars which go into thousands of years into the future.
Right, but we're about to hit 3 different levels of that calendar. The 5,260 year, of that.
Yeah, well, basically that's when we line up again with the center of the Milky Way.
Exactly, and you refer to the planet X.
That's what they think it's a theory that it may be that when it comes back.
Have you ever heard it called Neberu?
Yeah.
Well, the ones that I showed you guys earlier, that's what I'm under the impression of. That particular other sun behind the sun is that sun Neberu. A guy by the name of Panye Andoff has a video that lasts about an hour and a half, and he goes into that particular story of that particular planet coming back to Earth and pretty much hitting Earth, because
yeah, we were hit by one of their moons,
and we're about to be hit again, but it's not by the moon itself, it's by that red sun, that planet.
That's one of the
that they're referring to.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, I owe you an apology too. Some of the things I said about your pictures last Sunday, I went back out to some of my sources, and there is an ionization in the atmosphere that is making particles float.
Well, that would be the chemtrails, but mine is
no,
not.
this was they actually said into the orbs. Now the ones I like in there, in fact I'll try to download that, is the ones that are moving.
Well,
I have no explanation for that.
Well, apology is not important. I just figured you're the other
I
one.
checked on it further to just show you that I wasn't.
You went further as opposed to just blowing it off. Well, even with the explanation you've got, I've seen other people with with these pictures, because regardless of where you're coming from, if you take a photograph of that sun, the picture that you're going to get is going to be entirely different than the one that I got on film.
Oh,
there's no getting around. My girl gets black dots. She gets all the rainbows, or all the colors in the rainbow, which are basically the.
That's the same thing with anybody that's observation or witness. You all see it from a different point of view.
Siri has a picture and they're all over her. You can hardly see her. They just all over her, different sizes.
The different orbs.
And
are they running? Can you tell if they're running through your body at all?
Can't tell, but it's in my iPad.
Can you show us?
You trapped them in there?
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
still in there.
you have to see it.
That magnetic lid on
Still in there.
Go ahead.
One of the things that you brought up about whoever you were talking about that affected your
Oh, him. Yeah.
like that. There's a Tesla.
Are you serious?
Serious.
Wow.
Can we try it? After?
Oh
Is
yeah.
that
Oh
an
yeah.
Android you
I'm
have?
familiar with that.
No,
wow.
I've
you
worked
got the iPhone.
I've worked with Apple since '79.
Oh, you got an
The
iPhone.
stuff that you
I've
decide.
developed.
I just got rid of mine. Do you think that was a good idea?
They're all
I
around.
changed the
Depends on
switch.
your use.
That's a nice job.
It's like a computer. Which computer do you do?
I got the Android. What you think? You think I should switch it?
iPhone.
I think it was.
It's
Just to have it. Maybe somebody to, like somebody here might know more about
the
it.
thing that I like about it is like one of the documents I put down they come up real small, and I just have to pinch, and I can read any of it. I can go into any picture to magnetize.
Yeah, the Android, you may like make it big or
Yeah.
little. Yeah, you can do that on there too. They stole everything they're using in the Android anyway, so.
Yep.
Copied it from.
Yeah,
Ah,
turn it
that's that.
lengthwise.
Thank goodness symbols don't really mean anything.
Turn it lengthwise.
He got it wrong. You have to check the picture. There's different pictures. The picture changed, yeah.
What you doing?
You gotta do okay? You wanna take a break real quick? 5-minute break and come back? Use the restroom, get something to drink?
I have some friends that have taken the pictures and things. I've always asked them, I want to get a good shot inside because I can analyze where I'm engulfed in that storm.
Excuse me.
So I copied it and sent it to him. It was your whole state that was having trouble.
Okay.
Where do we stand, my friend? With all your
Right now, we're all sitting
information.
down. He's standing.
Well, what do we do with what we've learned? What are
Just do
we
your
can
own
walk
thing.
on water. We can.
Well, they can.
We can. We can literally. That's an example of our capacity.
When I tried to learn swimming when I was a small kid, because I was so skinny, I would just do that. I couldn't
don't float
float.
water either.
And in fact, in the Air Force, you have to go the length of the pool. I did it all underwater.
Oh,
I'm an underwater swimmer.
you are?
I have a hard time standing on top. I did it one time. My sister taught me, and I was swimming, and I felt like I was flying. It scared me. So I jumped back in.
Something like that.
And I haven't been able to go there again.
Go back around
I
again.
haven't been able to do it. I mean, it literally felt like I was flying. Wow. That's how good it felt.
The people could fly.
I jumped back in. I was like, whoa.
I could swim before I could walk. I could swim before I could walk. We used to have a house on the Rogue River right above the dam, and my uncle just got out of Vietnam, and he was there, and we were down by the boat or something. My dad threw me in the Rogue River. It was either sink or
Still trying
swim.
to find who that beautiful lady
I was
is.
sinking. Luckily, my uncle snatched me out. But I had to learn how to swim before I could walk.
I ran out of paper, so I'll bring some
Jeff,
extra
you know what?
prints.
Your stories are good in the middle of your music. You have a good voice. Like your talking voice is like a whole act. I think Gail told you that as well. What you gonna play for us?
Some America.
Well, before you play, man, you need to introduce yourself first.
Oh,
Where you come from, what branch?
My name is Jeff.
Okay.
I'm a music teacher. I teach beginner guitar. I teach you how to teach yourself in 90 days. I'm a song teacher, but I don't know how to read music, so I'm going back to college January to become a professional music teacher. And so here's a song by America. On the first part of the journey, I was looking all over life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There were sands and hills and rings. Well, the first thing I met was a fly with a buzz in the sky with no clouds. The earth was hot and the land was dry, but if you know love, she'll be as no one's they'll be out of the rain. In the desert, can we be real pain? 'Cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. After 3 days in the desert run, my skin began to turn red. After 3 days in the desert run, I was looking at
Good old folk music.
Some folk.
Yes.
Alright, this is Peter, Paul, and Mary made it famous, but Bob Dylan wrote it.
Oh.
How many roads must a man walk down before they call him home? The answer is blowing in the wind. How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? The answer, my friend, blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must mountains exist before they crumble to the sea? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. How many times must cannonballs fly before they are forever banned? The answer, my friend, blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Now, the question in that song is, this goes back to the 60s, no Vietnam era and protesting the war, and the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. What was the answer? What was blowing in the wind?
We had this conversation.
Okay, that's right. Well, I figured it out once. I was playing in San Diego at Anthony's Fish Grotto, and I was playing that song. I said, come to the part where the answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. I looked up, and it was the American flag blowing in the wind. The other controversy is the other supposed explanation might have been the smell of marijuana in the air. But I'm pretty sure it was the American flag. I'd have to ask Bob Dylan. I think he's still alive.
Yeah.
Well, he should be.
Awesome,
He's,
awesome.
Or Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Puff's Magic Dragon.
He owns a
Yeah, I know
cafe in Santa Monica.
Oh. I didn't
Puff
know that.
Magic Dragon. I learned this one from my uncle when he got out of Vietnam. And I learned it from him because he's talking about Puff the Magic Dragon was a helicopter and it had these big beehive machine guns on the side, and it would just lay a pattern through a whole football field of a shell every 2 inches. It's called Puff the Magic Dragon. I learned it from his graduation when he graduated in psychology and business. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn Disneyland called Honolulu. Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn Disneyland called Honolulu. Little Jackie learned that rascal Puff and brought his strings and sealing wax and liberty stuff. Oh, Puff the Magic Dragon lived by the sea and frolicked in the autumn
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That is Jeff going down to history.
Yes.
Everybody give him love, please. Yes.
Do you know where that song was created?
No,
In Hawaii.
really?
Yeah. There's a bay called Honolulu in Kauai. Beautiful.
Oh, Bob Dylan must have wrote it there.
Yeah. Somebody did.
That was
That's
Bob
what-
Dylan wrote it.
Yeah.
But Peter, Paul, and Mary made it famous.
Yeah, a beautiful song.
Pass it around, man.
Yeah.
Middle 60s, isn't it?
Yeah, that was.
65, 64.
Ooh, I'm not sure when it was written.
I remember that.
That's a '60s song,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Very nice.
Okay.